Well, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to the kitchen. It is Thursday, and that means it's time to try out another recipe. We'll let some folks log on here. It's 4 o'clock here, California time, and we're going to do a very simple recipe that's going to be really good for the heat that is upcoming over the course of the weekend. Our temperatures are likely to climb. Hello, Richard Herwig. How are you, my friend? Good to see you. It's just bring them on camera. I've never done this. Let's try it. Are you ready? And anyway, we're going to be making a chilled soup today, but it has its roots in a very traditional Italian dish, which is a lot of fun. And I use this frequently. So often in the past several years, I've been asked to do some charity dinners. Hi, Karen. How are you? And when I do those charity dinners, basically it is dinner for about 10 to 16 people. They bid on it. It benefits the charity. And then I build a dinner around our Fulvio's Italian sausage brand. It's usually, of course, very pasta heavy. But we try to make a really nice experience. So I had to come up with essentially a 5-course Italian dinner that I could transport to somebody's house. Hello, Pegster. How are you, Peg? One of the dishes that I always like to make was, growing up, it was one of my father's favorite dishes because he loves cantaloupe and he would grow cantaloupe in the garden. So one of the things that he loved was melon and prosciutto. That's a beautiful slice of cantaloupe that's been wrapped in some fresh prosciutto, cut nice and thin, and then I garnished it with a little balsamic vinegar, which is it's a great summertime appetizer. It's a great summertime lunch dish. But what I decided to do was make it in a different way. So I created, and I went through a bunch of different recipes. I came up with a way to do this as a chilled soup that is really easy to transport and really easy to make, and it's great for hot days like today. And the nice thing is there is no cooking involved. It's all just blending, and it's really, really easy. So what you're going to need to do this is a good blender, and you can use your plunge blender. We have one of those bullets because the kids like to make smoothies. I've got the good old, I hate this blender. It's a terrible blender, but I kept it specifically for this this purpose. So what you do is you get yourself one good ripe cantaloupe, and you're going to dice that up into, 1/4-inch, 1/2-inch pieces like this. All right. So and that's the whole cantaloupe in here. It saved the one slice that I used for my melon and prosciutto. And by the way, if you've never done that with the balsamic, you have to try that. Hello, Nick. So anyway, what we're going to do is blend this up with some other ingredients. And again, there's no cooking, so there is one little aspect that we bake off, and I'll tell you about that in just a second. But happy Thursday, good evening. Glad you guys are having a good week. At least I hope you are so far. We have been. We're getting ready for the hot weather this weekend. We're going to be probably the hottest day of the year will be on Sunday. We're going to be up close to 120 degrees. So it's good to have a dish that doesn't require heating up a lot of the house. So cheers to you. Hey, Bill, how are you? My buddy Gary Foster's supposed to be watching. He wanted a shout out. So you're gonna need this. You need a bowl to put this in. So I've got one whole cantaloupe in the blender and ready to go. You're gonna need about a cup of orange juice. That's about it. So right there, a cup of orange juice. And we'll go ahead and put that in with the cantaloupe. Just like that. And then you're gonna need about a cup of white wine. And I picked up this. It's a Coppola, of course, a Napa, California. It's a Pinot Grigio. You probably don't want to use a Chardonnay with this. That would be a little too heavy and too oaky. This is going to be much more fruity, but also a little acidic. It will go nicely with the cantaloupe. So we're going to do about a cup of that. There you go. So we'll put that in there with the blender. Then you're going to need just a little bit of honey. Now, the orange juice is going to bring a lot of sweetness to this. And of course, if you're using a really ripe cantaloupe, it's going to be very sweet. So you want the wine to balance that. Hello, Dale Bird. So what we're going to do is just put a little bit of honey in here. And I like to get this. This is local hive. It's wildflower honey. It is raw and unfiltered. The nice thing about honey is it never goes bad. You can keep it forever. But we're just going to put about that. Like so. I would guess it's about a 1/2 tablespoon. You might use a little bit more if you want it sweeter. But again, if your cantaloupe is nice and ripe, you don't have to worry about the sweetness. and the white wine balances. And then I'm going to garnish it with something that's going to make it really spectacular. The other thing you're going to need, just a little bit of nutmeg. Hello, Laura. How are you? So we're going to put a little nutmeg in this. Not a lot. Just again, I don't measure much around the house. Hello, Raquel. I'm going to put a little nutmeg in there. Just a dash, like that. You don't want to overpower. So once you got all your ingredients, and this is why this is a terrible blender, by the way. And I already know, ice cantaloupe. You know, if you throw some tequila in it, you got a margarita. No, I'm kidding. This is a terrible blender because it leaks, but we're going to fire it up. There we go. It'll struggle along. Hello, Christina. Hello, Brett Core. How are you? Brett, I'm having a Gentleman Jack, and I hope you are as well. Hi, Rosalind. So my blender is struggling. I'm not going to yell over the thing. We're going to let it do its thing. Hi, Robert. But what you want to do is blend it until it's all nice and smooth. You don't want it pulpy. You want it nice and smooth. I'm going to check the consistency of that. But what you want to do is just blend it until it's nice and smooth. It's my kitchen, I can taste. All right. That's perfect. It's delicious. It's sweet. It's not too sweet. And then that's it. The soup is basically ready to go. You're going to want to chill it. And what I do is I put it into a big Tupperware container and I throw it in the fridge. You can make this the day before. I wouldn't make it too much more than the day before. But you're going to take it, and I'm going to show this to you. It's very pretty. So there you go. It's a little frothy. The froth will settle out. But this is a great chilled soup. So you're going to chill it. And by the way, it will separate a little bit. You'll get a fair amount of liquid, and the cantaloupe will float to the top. Just shake it up. That's all you have to do. But chill it in the fridge for a couple of hours or overnight if you have the time. And then you serve it chilled. I'm going to show you what we do with it. All right. Let me grab. I know I have one around here somewhere. Wow. So we're going to take our soup. I want you guys to be able to see this. So let me point it down here. All right. So again, it's going to be a little frothy after you finish blending it. Let it settle out. Chill it for a bit. But you're going to get a really pretty soup out of this. So I'm going to just pour that on in there like that. So now we've got a real nice, and the other thing, the ratio, one cantaloupe, okay, the ratio, and I'll post this, it's one cantaloupe, 1 cup of orange juice, 1 cup of white wine, a little dash of honey, and a little dash of nutmeg. So now we've got our cantaloupe soup. Again, you're going to want to chill this before you serve it. But the other thing that we like to do, remember the cantaloupe wrapped in prosciutto, right? This is basically, we're making a different version of that. So that is a gorgeous dish. You can do that all year long with ripe cantaloupe. Just wrap it in a piece of prosciutto, dress it with a little balsamic glaze, and you're ready to go. And by the way, the balsamic glaze is really easy to come by. They have these all over the place. Great for salads, great for stuff like this. But what I like to do with a cantaloupe soup, I have, and this is the only cooking you're going to need to do to make this dish, I have baked off a little bit of prosciutto, okay? Just a couple of slices. You throw it on some parchment or a non-stick cookie sheet. I do hate white wine, Rick, but it's got to go in. You got to have white wine in that one. I guess you could use a rosé if you really wanted to. So what we do is you've got this, which is just a slice of prosciutto that I put in the oven on some parchment, and I put the broiler on low, and I broiled it for just a few minutes until it's nice and crispy. And then when you get it like that, you just break a little off, and you crumble it right on top of the soup. Oh, look at that. That is so nice. And by the way, the crisp prosciutto is something you can use to garnish virtually anything you like. Is the video out of sync? Out of sync, huh? Well, we'll try to finish it up and hopefully the recording works. So what you do is you garnish that with a little bit of that crisp prosciutto. And then I also take some fresh mint and put on top of that. And it gives you a really nice color on top of the soup. So this is a really easy dish. The only thing you have to do to cook is to bake off the prosciutto on a little bit of parchment paper, and it's done. And again, you want to chill that for a couple of hours, and when it's done, again, it will separate a little bit. Just shake it up, ladle it into a bowl, and then you crumble your crisp prosciutto on top if you want. And sometimes I like to do this. I take some fresh whipping cream, no sugar. Don't put any sugar. Whip the cream into just or you can use creme fraiche and put a dollop of that on top of the soup, and then put the prosciutto on top of it. And then, like I said, where is it? That's the basil. Well, anyway, I got fresh mint and I can't find it. There's no great shot there. But to chop up a little fresh mint and put it on top of there, and then you get this delicious dish. This is a great starter, and you're going to get the sweetness of the melon. You're going to get a little tartness from the white wine. And remember, you don't cook this off. There's not a lot of white wine in here, not the ratio, by the way, but probably don't serve it to your kids because you're not cooking the wine out of this. It's got the wine in it. And the crisp prosciutto just gives it that great salty flavor. And when you crisp up the prosciutto is already a nice cured meat, right? It's been cured for a nice long time. When you bake it off like this, you're going to intensify the salty flavors of it. And the nice thing is you can crumble this up and put it in a little Tupperware container and throw it in your fridge. It will stay fresh for a nice long time. It's got a nice long shelf life that way. This is a great starter dish this time of year when it's so hot. You want something cold on your palate, and this is just a great way to do that. And it's so easy. You just blend up the ripe melon, put in the white wine, put in a cup of orange juice and a little nutmeg and a little honey, and then you garnish it with the prosciutto. And you can use this prosciutto, you can crumble it up and put it on your salads. You can put it on other soups that you make. If you want to be really fancy, you can just break off a piece like that. And when you serve the soup, you can just put the sail in there. And with the creme fraiche, it'd stand up real nicely like that. So it's super fancy. But it's delicious, and it's a great garnish for anything. If you've not crisped up prosciutto, you have to do it. It's absolutely fantastic. It'll make a lot of different dishes stand up. But that's just the way that I like to make a different version of prosciutto and melon. It's a great summertime dish, especially if you go to the farmers markets around here. You're going to get great fresh cantaloupe. My dad loved to grow cantaloupe. It was his favorite fruit. And we used to have this every summer with fresh prosciutto that my uncle brought down from New Jersey and the fresh melon out of our garden. And it is really, really good. So you guys want to try that. Try it this weekend when it's really hot outside. Again, the only thing that you have to heat up the kitchen for, you're going to broil the prosciutto on low for about 3 or 4 minutes. Doesn't take long to crisp it up. So that's my recipe this week. I think you'll really like it. If you like prosciutto and cantaloupe, you're going to love this version of it with crispy prosciutto on top. Have a great rest of your evening. Thanks for joining me. And we'll be back next week in the kitchen right here, live on Facebook. Thanks, guys. Have a great